It was a barn burner. Alabama and Georgia in Atlanta, a 27-24 final. What would you say were the things that we knew going in that happened? Were there any? Like, did we have any expectations going in this, and those expectations actually unfold?
If anything along those lines, the only thing I could point to is that Brock Bowers still led Georgia in receiving, as he does for the year, having missed time. He still led them. Watched this game, watched every minute of it. I don't know how he had 5 for 53. That was the quietest 5 for 53 that I've ever seen in my life. And I understand, the condition he's been in since really Vanderbilt, since Nashville, if I'm honest. Now, obviously, effective to get 5 for 53 as he in the condition he was against Alabama, when Alabama is not what we thought preseason in terms of murder ball. We're going to run for 300 on you.
Yeah.
But that's a good defense. And this is one of the better defenses they've had in a few years.
That's fair. I was actually thinking about this at the time of this recording, it's Wednesday. This game was played on Saturday. So sometime Monday, Tuesday, my mind did this thing where I thought, you know what, we should really get out of the podcasting business, because you and I both said going into the 22 season, this is Saban's best team yet. They're a monster. Who's going to stop them? And that's when they were the most beatable in his time, since being the head coach in Tuscaloosa. And then going into this year, we said, they're probably susceptible, right? The coordinator deal didn't unfold the way that he wanted to, and here they are. They're conference champions yet again. Jalen Milroe defied the odds. The offense defied expectations. Tommy Reese has actually turned out to be, say what you want, pretty dang good hire, in my opinion.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. Here's another thing that I expected. Whether I probably didn't voice this, but if I didn't, that's shame on me. Isaiah Bond, he's the dude that Alabama currently has at receiver, leads them in receiving as well. Also, just 5 catches, but 79 yards on his 5. Just a sophomore, going to be that dude again next year. Clearly, not pending any additions that Alabama makes through the portal. Because I certainly wouldn't see him leaving, but anything can happen. That was as expected as well, because he's kind of that dude as they have it in 2023's form.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think you point out his stat line. I think the stat line that jumps off to me the most is the third down efficiency for both teams. Georgia going 4 for 12, Bama going 3 for 13, but both going 2 for 2 and fourth down. What's funny is we didn't really know how to talk about this game going in, and now that it's happened, it's almost like I'm still not sure what to say about it.
Yeah, it couldn't be more shocked in the way it unfolded. In that Georgia forces a punt on Alabama, relative ease. Not really any testing happening on that first drive of Alabama. They walk the ball down the field, and they score in a bit of style on that 17-yard run. That looked like Alabama of old on that Kendall Milton run for 17 yards. That looked like Alabama of old. And Milton is an Alabama of old top back. That's what Georgia has transitioned to. They're kind of the Alabama of new a little bit.
Yeah.
And then the game just flips, and Alabama runs 17 points off, which tell me the last time Georgia gave up 17 unanswered to anybody. Probably would have been Alabama at some point, maybe 2 years ago in this game. They run off 17 unanswered, just a fairly relative, somewhat relative ease as well, and there's going to be complaints about the 4th and 4 Isaiah Bond, catch as it was ruled. And there's some angles where I think it wasn't a catch and should have been looked at. And there's other angles where I'm like, yeah, man, he controlled the ball as he slid across the ground.
Yeah.
But yeah, they run off 17 points, and you never have a gap larger than 7. I think from there it might have been 10 again at one point. The fashion, though, I didn't see that unfolding that way just with how we've known Georgia, what they've become.
Mm-hmm. What did you make of the officiating at a Saturday night? Fair?
Not as completely unfair as I've seen it in times.
This year?
I'm a little uneasy about this year, being a Tennessee fan. Don't love the horse collar call as it was because that's the most inconsistent. That call is more inconsistent than pass interference and holding. I thought Alabama had one interesting hold called on them. Might have been the only hold offensively called in the game. Again, it's not a great look for me that the Georgia pass to Arian Smith for 51 yards or what have you was looked at, and it was a whole lot cleaner than Isaiah Bond's catch. Not a great look when you look at one and not the other. I think we need to get, I think the rule needs to be if the play is snapped, there is no going back. Alabama obviously was in hurry-up mode at the time. They did get the ball snapped. There was no indication that the play was going to be reviewed, and some reports say that it was reviewed in between snaps or what have you. There's no possible way that happened on that time frame, just by the way. But not a great look that one was reviewed and one wasn't, especially the one that was so clean that kind of killed momentum for Georgia, even though I do think they scored a touchdown on that drive.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. So regarding penalties, Georgia was 5 for 56 in penalty yards, and then Bama 3 for 36. I mean, some of these stat lines, when you look at the thing overall. Okay, so let me just do this really quickly, okay? Let me do it this way. Let's go. Don't look at it. All right. Don't look at your phone.
Okay.
And if you're going off memory, don't. All right. So we'll do team A, team B. All right. And I want you to tell me who you think is your winner. Total yards, team A, 321. Team B, 306. Passing, team A, 243. Team B, 192. Rushing yards, team A, 78. Team B, 114. What do you think?
I would have leaned with going in, not knowing. If I didn't know, I would have gone with the team that had the rushing advantage.
Okay, so that's gonna be Bama there. Some of this stuff is also eerily similar, like their time of possession. But as I look at the stat line, I think now I'm not going to say this is the play of the game or anything, but I think what causes the ultimate swing is Georgia's lost fumble.
Agreed. I mean, there's shots that I've seen for the reverse that they ran against Georgia Tech, and you can see the angle if you flip it from what you watch live on TV. Alabama did not have the numbers from preventing that from going 20 plus. And it might have went to the house, to be frank with you. It was Dylan Bell that was coming across, I believe. They didn't have numbers to stop that whatsoever.
Yeah.
And maybe this is the spot. Hear me out on this, because this is probably a stretch. Maybe that's the spot where complacency, or you've just flat out caught so many breaks along the 29 game path. That's where they ran out, because it's not the most extreme play. It's not like they lateraled it back or pitched it, did a double pass or something like that. It was a simple reverse handoff. And Dylan Bell played running back for Georgia when they were so limited when Dejan Edwards was out. And he took running back carries. And they had just hit that play for a big gainer in Atlanta at Georgia Tech a week prior.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's hard to explain how things like that happen with a team that is so sound and handle the fundamentals so well.
Sure.
It's shocking, but I'm with you. That is the difference in the game. Because I'm not willing to say that, here's an unfortunate complaint that I've seen, is that the Isaiah Bond catch was not a catch, that it changed the game. That is the 3-point difference in the game, or whatever, 4 point. I think they sort of touched down on that. So it's a 4-point difference, whatever. I'm not willing to go that far. I'm sorry. I do think he controlled it well enough. And what I've seen, it's so up for debate any given season, game in, game out. I think he did his part.
You talking about Bond?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair. You're going to have to do something to regulate these things. I've considered even putting some kind of review clock in play. You've got a play clock.
We need it.
You need something for one, just to preserve the speed of the game. And I mean, let's say it's 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever you set it at. If you can't make a decision, you just go with the ruling on the field. That's neither here nor there. Yeah, I do think that game was or that play was obviously impactful, but what are you going to do? Are we going to sit here and pretend that never happens? Because it happens. And I would say this: what is a catch? The NFL doesn't know. So what is a catch? I do think that one's a little clearer. It's not as gray, but I mean, tough break, I reckon. I want to talk for a second, Carson Beck. This dude continues to impress. Continues to impress. He's already announced his return to Georgia. 21 for 29, 243, no scores, no picks. I just find this guy extremely impressive. He continues to climb.
Absolute same.
To climb, my NFL draft boards, and I don't have one, but you get what I'm saying. The more I watch this kid play, the more I say, this guy's going to be NFL, and he's going to be NFL for a long time.
Couldn't agree more. He's got the body that you want, the height. It's super annoying because how many, for the entire Stetson Bennett era, pretty much the whole Kirby Smart era, all we've heard is, well, they think this about me. I'm going to prove them wrong. I don't look at you and think you're a statue. So I hate every game when he makes a 4-yard scramble that's not a statue. I hate that. But he's not a statue. He's mobile enough to pick you up several first downs in a game. He's not going to be running, option plays. But that's not what Georgia does at the same time.
Right.
Dude, he's NFL ready. His accuracy is really freaky good. It's his decision making sometimes that leads him to turnover worthy plays, and when he has thrown picks, it's where the spot that he wanted to go to.
Yeah.
But this is what I don't. Here's an issue that I have with Georgia in that game, and we've heard and we've seen how McConkey looked. We know what condition Bowers was in, but Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint, 3 catches, 30 yards. There's one he makes when he's coming across the middle that is on. It's unleashed from a cannon.
Oh yeah, on a dang rope.
Freaky accurate in a window. Yeah, why didn't they do more of that? You have Arian Smith. We've heard, I think, 2 years in a row, he's one of the fastest players on the team. 1 catch, 51 yards. You're not going to get him anything. You're not going to send him on a drag or post or slant, screen, anything. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And again, I know you're injured, and I know that your guys ultimately are McConkey, Bowers. I would say probably Rosemy-Jacksaint next, but I have an issue with usage. I mean, you threw the ball 29 times, and the next person behind Bowers in terms of number of catches was McConkey and Jacksaint with 3 apiece. I just don't get that.
Listen, if I'm Georgia and I'm coming out of halftime, I'm going, listen, lad, you might not see the field for the rest of the game. He just couldn't get off. He couldn't get off the line of scrimmage, couldn't get a release. He's probably not playing the second half for me. Not that he's not good. That's not what I'm saying. Bama just wasn't going to have it. And you could argue some DPI, whatnot. I'm going to say that he just got out physical, truth be told. You talked a lot about, obviously, outside of recording this, about the offensive play calling. You want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, and that's what I'm largely getting at is
I could hear it in your
tops
undertone.
of pass plays. Yeah, the tops of pass plays. I mean, think about this, okay? I think it was I'm positive it was Georgia's first drive when they couldn't have scored easier unless they scored in one play. I think they're in their first set of downs, they have Bowers just in the flat to the right, 23-yard gain. Okay, he got 30 more yards on 4 more catches. I can think of 1, maybe 2 where they try to hit him at the seam. The problem is he's not really been guarded up the seam by guys like Caleb Downs all that often. But you're telling me that in what you were able to get out of him health-wise, you're not going to try a corner route or, again, the quick stuff that Alabama did take away when you threw it horizontally, but you're not going to do anything else to get this guy the ball in what could be his last collegiate game. I don't think he's going to opt out if he can walk. It's those types of things. Even when McConkey literally couldn't walk back to the huddle. You hit him up the seam for, I don't remember how many yards. His longest catch was 15. I'm going to say that was that play where he gets you to the goal line.
Yeah.
Up the seam, lots of contact. And I think he got basically held out of the end zone and then kind of thrown down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can't do anything else with what he has left to give you, or replace him by, again, your other fast Arian Smith or anybody else. Who's the healthy one? The healthy one is Lovett. You had Ra Thomas, who I think was not dressed or healthy and able to go. You brought Dominic Lovett, who I'm pretty sure led Missouri in receiving last year, all the way down to Athens to go 2 for 23 in this game. You can't do anything else with him. I just don't get that. I'm astonished by the way that Alabama was able to, and it was predictable. I'll say this, but the third and shorts, they pick up 5 or 6 on first down. You should get a lot of conversions if you get 5 or 6 on first down.
Sure, and your playbook
it'd be second.
The entire playbook is available at that point.
And you have second and third and less than 5 or 6. And they went 4 for 12 on third downs.
Mm-hmm. You hit third down, and it was just a curse.
That's not good.
Yeah.
I'm astonished that Alabama was able to be so physical and so successful with him on that. And I think it largely boils down to predictability at that point, and really maybe some back decision making, but I would say largely play calls and the routes that we're in.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
That's it for me.
I think you nailed it. Just attack the center field, and you
yeah.
do it. You took a shot at Ladd's top speed there, which I don't think he's all that slow, but you obviously have other dudes who can get up the seam, who can find the middle of the field in a cover 2 quicker than maybe he can. Whatever.
And
there was little attempt to do so.
Their usage. Yeah. How they used him. Yeah, I think he's plenty fast. I think he's got the best feet in maybe all of college football. But how you used him, I have a bit of an issue with, and I'm really confused by.
His agility attribute is definitely in the 90s for sure.
Oh, it is. Yes, it is.
But then you go to the other side, right? And I go, man, Tommy Rees. Okay, I see you, dude. Jalen Milroe, 13 for 23, $192, 2 scores. 1 came out of the backfield to Jam Miller. And then you got him running 14 for 29. Now those yards are not great, but you see the attempts there, and you see in the stat line the game plan. You were going to put this on Jalen Milroe. Let him carry you. And he's good enough to do it, which is crazy to me.
And it's going to, I'm beating a dead horse here, but the 4th and 4 play call, just getting Bond coming across the middle.
Yes.
Brilliant. The separation was there. He just flicks the wrist. He puts it out there for his guy. Could have been a little bit cleaner. Sure. What a play call.
Sure.
Look, that situation went, Alabama lines up to go for it. They took a timeout to prevent a delay of game. They ran a lot of time off the clock. They prevented Georgia from being able to do much before half. And maybe Georgia took a time in there as well. It was a long, drawn-out process, and they lined up 2 or 3 times, and they still went for it. And that was the best call, I think, of the game to me. Maybe except for the design that they went with to really ice the game there when they got Milroe running off to the left side.
Sure.
Brilliant. He had a long run of 30, and he totaled 29 for the game. Georgia sacked him, I think, 4 times, which still, even giving up 4 sacks, what an improvement. What a freakish improvement from this offensive line and their entire offensive unit. That dude might play himself in New York City next year is I think the trajectory that he's on. I'm not saying he's there now, but I'm saying yes. But the trajectory that he's on, this offensive line should continue to get better, I think, which is scary. But he's taken such a sharp arc and rise upward that it's hard for me to envision him not.
If anybody is telling us that Milroe is playing this well at this time of the year, if you're telling us that in the preseason, I'm probably laughing at you. Probably.
Yes. You tell me this exiting the Texas loss, they made him third string, which was a little bit extreme. And I think maybe Saban, catering, I don't remember who to at that time by doing that, but yeah.
Call it extreme. I'm really glad that you brought that up because it's sure I think that's just going to be perspective, but called extreme. What I think is it's strategic. When Saban goes, I know that this is the guy, but he needs to see that he's the guy. Put him on the bench and let him figure it out. So listen, I've become for lack of better words, a fan of Jalen Milroe. I like this guy, and I'm going to compare him this way. Carson Beck is a better quarterback. Jalen Milroe is a better football player who can play quarterback. He's got some. Now the style is different, but he's got some. What we would say about Dobbs. Not a great quarterback, but a great football player who can do the quarterback thing. That's what I would say about Jalen Milroe up to this point, with a much better top end speed than Dobbs, of course. Man,
yeah.
As much as I hate and it pains me to say this, props to Alabama for starting this thing off the way that they did, for everybody perceiving he did not get the coordinators that he wanted. There's people, especially in mainstream media, right? Saban's done. It's over. And all you do is just piss him off. And he goes and wins a title again, finds himself in the playoff again. So I'm just going to stop predicting who I think Alabama is. I'm just going to stop because I get it wrong, especially as you've mentioned this 1,000 times, as you watch the progression of them throughout the season. If you're looking at me and saying, listen, at the end of the season, Milroe is going to be one of your better deep balls in the country, I'm laughing at you. He's one of the better deep balls in the country. He's one of the better athletes. He is now a quarterback of one of the 4 playoff teams, which is arguable, but here we are. We'll get there. We'll get there in another episode. But props to Bama and Saban for finding a way to get it done and proving that, you know what, the throne has not shifted. He is the college football throne. Let's not get too spiritual here. That he is still, where the buck stops. Great run on behalf of Georgia, 29 games. I don't care if you're playing at an FCS level. That's extremely hard to do. You need things to fall your way. But I would say this regarding Georgia. The one team you played this year, you lost, and that's why you're not in the playoff. That's as simple as I know to say it. And I've said that to multiple people, and they said, well, they played Tennessee at Tennessee. Okay, well, we're not good. Not good. Not dismissing Georgia.
They make your point when they say that, because 8-4 Tennessee, that would be Georgia's second toughest record-wise opponent in the regular season.
Yeah,
they made the point for you.
Yeah. So I'm going to end this segment by tipping my cap to Nick Saban, and hopefully by doing so, he will retire soon. Bama wins another SEC title, and I called it 27-24.
Pandemonium reigns.